Newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Bomb Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. E-bikes are surging in popularity on the streets of communities across the country as a way for legal transportation for those who are identification challenged or for those who are seeking a cheaper source of transportation. But as e-bikes gain more popularity across the country, the attention to the rules of the road is causing a disturbance on busy community roads. Clinton Police Chief Ben Lowers explains that while e-bikes do not require a driver's license, operators are legally obligated to obey the flow of traffic, ride on the far right side of the roadway, and use proper hand signals.
An e-bike, while it is an electric bicycle, one of the main complaints that I hear is, well, they need to have a driver's license. I repeat all the time, we don't make the laws, we only enforce what's provided to us. Okay. An e-bike does not require a driver's license. However, an e-bike comes with not only the same obligations, the same benefits, but also the same obligations as a pedal bicycle. Okay. And that is in terms of traffic flow. By law, they need to operate on the farthest right side of the roadway in the direction of travel of motoring traffic. It is while you think it may be safer to go against the flow of traffic so that you can see that's actually against the law. They have to abide with the flow of traffic to the farthest right side of the roadway. Hand signals are required when stopping, turning left, right.
Chief Lowers points out his department has received a steady stream of complaints regarding e-bikes weaving through intersections and darting through parking lots. In response, they will be ramping up traffic enforcement around e-bikes to prevent a serious accident from occurring.
Our complaints are constantly them zipping in and out of parking lots, across streets, in front of cars, through intersections. And we see that as well. And I will tell you, we are going to start enforcing, or we're going to increase our enforcement of that. It is becoming such an issue that this is a public service issue. It's a public safety issue. Knock on wood, we have not had a serious accident.
I was just going to say somebody's going to get hurt.
But when we do have an accident, it's not a matter of if, it's going to be how bad. Because, a vehicle versus a cycle, again, the e-bike is no different than a pedal cycle, and any accident involving a vehicle versus a bicycle is going to be a serious accident.
The chief reminds the public that e-bikes are prohibited from being ridden on city sidewalks due to the danger they pose to pedestrians. He urges both youth and adult riders to practice defensive driving habits.
But we are going to put some focus on our increase in enforcement of that. They're not allowed to be operated on sidewalks. That's obviously a danger to the, pedestrian traffic in our community. And so, I just ask people, I know that they're so popular and so many are being provided to kids. But I see a lot of adults on them. I mean, most of what I'm seeing on the e-bikes is adults on the roadway. And we just ask that we remind them that they do come with the same rights, but also the same obligations as a bicycle does, which ultimately in turn is nearly the same as what a motoring vehicle is.
Because e-bikes operate virtually silently compared to motorcycles, Chief Lowers stresses that riders must remain highly visible and cautious, as larger vehicles are often not conditioned to spot them at intersections.
I just can't say enough about being a responsible rider. We don't want anybody to get hurt. We want them to be defensive driving. The same things that we talk about when we talk about bicycles, but also motorcycles. So many times when motorcycles are involved in an accident because they're not seen. We become very conditioned to looking for large vehicles, cars, trucks, SUVs. We see very few cars on the roadway anymore. It's SUVs and trucks. So many big vehicles that we become conditioned to looking for those, that when we pull up to an intersection and we're getting ready to make a turn or a yield, and we look both ways, we're not conditioned to see that smaller motorcycle. And so, this time of year, especially in the warmer weather, we've just got to be more cognizant of our motoring traffic and whatnot. And, motorcycles at least have a little more noise to them, that may gain the attention of a passing motorist, where that e-bike is virtually silent. And so we've got to be very aware of our surroundings, but as an e-bike or motorcycle rider, we've also got to respect that and understand that we may not be easy to be seen. And so we've got to be very respectful of that as well for our own safety.
Several law enforcement officials in central Illinois have talked recently with the Heart Media Group about this growing trend in their communities and how they are addressing it. After a wet start and then a massive heat wave, things might moderate going forward. Ed Shemin at the National Weather Service in Lincoln indicates the precipitation outlook is not showing any above normal chances for rainfall for the rest of the month.
And then as we look forward, the 6 to 10 day outlook is above normal temperatures and a slightly above normal precipitation outlook. And that takes us through the 22nd. The 8 to 14, actually the temperatures drop back towards near normal, which is, in the mid 80s, 86 or 85 for normal highs. Precipitation drops back to near normal as well. There's just showing a little bit of a less tendency for storm tracks to come through the area. And then as we finish out the month, the 25th of July, all the way through the 7th, that 3 to 4 week outlook, equal chances for temperatures with a little bit of a below normal signal just to our west in Iowa and Minnesota. So the heat really kind of spreads out to the East Coast and West Coast. And then precipitation wise, actually, they're starting to bring back in a little bit of an above normal signal for that last week of July into the first week of August. So, we may have a dry now towards the third week of July, but fourth week of July. But it looks like maybe some rain moving in for the early part of August there.
Daylight begins to slightly diminish later in July, while average temperatures remain pretty steady throughout the month.
Yeah. For sunlight, we start out the month right around 15 hours. And then we finish July, looks like at about 14 and a half hours of sunlight. So we only lose about 30 minutes in July, which isn't much, 14 and a half hours. Pretty long sunlight. You've still got twilight, well up towards 9 o'clock or even a little after that. So, it's definitely very little change, only about 30 minutes of difference between July 1st and July 30th. July is kind of our steady state month. We start out with highs normally in the 86 category and a low in 64, and then we finish the month 85 and 63. So we're pretty much right in that mid 80s for highs and mid 60s for lows the whole month of July. Just because we're that the peak sun heating angle is in June on the 21st. And then the heat lags for about 30 days. You continuously have that solar influx to, basically it takes about 30 days to realize the influx of the heat. So that's why July kind of is a steady state month there.
Getting past August, Shemin says there is not much indicating we could be headed for a flash drought as the harvest season soon approaches. Additionally, the temperature signal for August through October is showing below normal, a rarity.
There's no drought conditions, in all of central Illinois. It's just in the far north and far south of Illinois. So we're doing okay that way. Soil moisture is fine in general. So, especially with above normal rain for the July 25th through August 7th coming up, and it's the 40th, the 50th percentile above normal. So it's showing a decent signal that we're probably going to get more than just an inch a week. That's not what we get average in the summertime, about an inch of rain a week on average. I think we'll be okay. It's probably that late August into September when we started our last year's drought keep an eye on that time frame for some flash drought conditions. But I think we'll be okay through early August. Yeah, August through October shows below normal temperatures. It's kind of odd. I don't think I've seen that in a while, where late summer into fall, below normal temps, but we're seeing near normal precip, equal chances there for above or below normal. So not looking, so that means, some drought conditions might be in the vicinity, but we'll have to see how widespread they become. But below normal temps is not normal for that August, September, October.
Visit weather.gov/Lincoln for the latest in weather forecasts, weather data, and outlooks. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Chevrolet is the heartbeat of America, and now is the time to celebrate our nation's birthday in a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City, inviting you to come see our selection of Chevrolets, like the sporty Chevrolet Trax and the good-looking Trailblazer. We also have a good selection of Chevrolet Equinox and the full-size Traverse. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
It's the quiet moments you count on. A call that connects instantly, a show that never buffers, a home that just works. That's the difference with Connexus Fiber Internet. We built a buried fiber network designed for consistency, earning us the title of top-rated fiber internet provider in Illinois. With plans starting as low as $25 a month and 3-year price lock options, it's reliability you can feel without the unpredictability. Because with Connexus, connection means everything. Experience better at Connexus.com. Nothing Connexus like Connexus.
News time is 20 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Losing a parent is one of the most difficult experiences a child can face. Along with the emotional challenges, families often must navigate new financial realities. Jack Myers with Social Security says that you may not realize that Social Security can help support children through monthly survivor benefits.
It's never fun to talk about death or losing a parent and that sort of thing. Obviously it's one of the most difficult experiences that a child can face. Along with the emotional challenges, families often must navigate new financial realities. And, obviously we can't help with the emotional side of it at Social Security, but we may be able to help with the financial side of it, because what you may not realize is that Social Security can help support children through monthly survivor benefits. So who would be eligible for monthly survivor benefits from a child's perspective? We're not talking about other types right now. We're just kind of focusing on children. If a parent worked and paid into Social Security, their surviving children should be eligible for a monthly survivor benefit.
If a parent worked and paid into Social Security, their surviving children should be eligible for monthly survivor benefits. In order to qualify, the surviving child must be unmarried and under the age of 18, unmarried and under the age of 19 but still a full-time high school student, or unmarried and disabled before age 22.
In order to qualify, the surviving child must be unmarried and under the age of 18, or unmarried and under the age of 19, but still a full-time high school student, or unmarried and disabled before age 22. So what will they get? Well, the amount of monthly survivor benefits that are payable are going to be determined by the work record of the deceased parent and the number of eligible children or spouse, other people receiving benefits on the record. Because there's something called a family max, which determines the most we can pay out on a record. So that's why the number of people collecting off that record comes into play. But as a parent, I think one of the things we all want to do is, make sure that our kids are always provided for. In most cases, that's through what we're doing, working, whatever, and paying for them. But it's also comforting to know what would happen or what would be available to them if we pass away. So if you want to know what your children may receive if you die, you can find that info within your own personal My Social Security account. So you go to SSA.gov, look for My Social Security, create your account. Once you create your account, you will see how much your children would qualify for if you pass away.
To learn more about these benefits, visit ssa.gov/survivor or go to the publication section and look for benefits for children. The American Red Cross is asking for blood donations as the supply fell nearly 25% in June. Summer is the height of trauma season and the gap between school blood drives, leaving the Red Cross with a blood shortage. There are upcoming donation opportunities to help quell what it calls an emergency need. Red Cross spokesperson Ann Vastmans says there are some common misconceptions about blood donations that she would like to address.
A great misconception, or just something that people are not aware of, maybe, is just how much of a need that we have for blood. So every 2 seconds, somebody in the U.S. needs blood. And you never know who that might be. So, tomorrow that could be you, that could be, a family member, a neighbor, a friend. And so I think people just don't realize how important it is to donate blood.
The Red Cross cannot stockpile blood as it has a limited shelf life that must be continually replenished. Types O positive and B negative blood are especially needed. Learn more at redcrossblood.org/July. Illinois Farm Bureau continues to promote nutrient stewardship field days around the state. There are 4 to finish out July, says IFB Environmental Program Manager Bana Pegg, including one in Bureau County on July 27th.
But overall, I think they're really focusing on the larger scale systems and how do you manage for these nitrate losses, and just thinking about the broad farm scale system. What is the reality? Because like a lot of the study that has been done in the past is on 1 acre fields, maybe a quarter acre. This 1,000 acre project is a big deal to really look at fundamentally. Where are the losses happening in the field? Like, is it during high rain events? Is it during like after soybean? Like, where are these like leaky points that could be targeted in the future?
Other field days are planned in Washington County on July 25th, Will County on July 30th, and Joe Davies County on July 31st. More details at ilfb.org/field days. Canning is still used by several households as a food preservation method, but what are some things to consider to assure canned foods remain safe and delicious? Rod Bain reports. Get news anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. America is raining fire down on Iran. Attacks that come in retaliation for the deaths of several American service members over the weekend. And amid the unrest in the Mideast, AAA reports that gas prices have risen to a national average of $4 per gallon. Britain has a new prime minister today. Andy Burnham is Britain's 7th prime minister in only a decade. Between sweltering heat, smothering humidity, the choking wildfire smoke, flooding rains, and deadly tornadoes, this summer has brought some wicked weather. Forecasters say it's not over yet. Congratulations to World Cup champion Spain, a 1-0 win over defending champion Argentina in the World Cup final, MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Dow futures up 126 points, and NASDAQ futures ahead 231. More details, srnnews.com.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can receive a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-744-7344. 866-744-7344.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sportswire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. Sean Burke and 2 relievers combined on a 4-hitter. Colson Montgomery hit his 24th home run, and the Chicago White Sox beat the Toronto Blue Jays 3-0 on Sunday.
The White Sox secured their first series win out of the All-Star break with a 3-0 win in Toronto on Sunday. Sean Burke with another outstanding performance, going 6 2/3 shutout frames, as the Montgomery boys, Braden and Colson, both collected a couple of hits and RBIs, with Colson's stake coming via the long ball.
Getting hits. Swinging a fly ball out into deep right center. It's way back there, and that baby is gone into the bullpen. It's 2-0. Number 24, and career homer number 45.
The White Sox continue their road trip with the series opener in Texas against the Rangers on Monday night. I'm Jeff Meller, and I'll have your pregame coverage starting at 6:30 on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
The Sox take on the Texas Rangers tonight on WHOW. Pregame begins at 6:30 p.m. tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Shoto Imanaga pitched 7 shutout innings, and Nico Horner had a bases-loaded triple and 4 RBIs to lead the Chicago Cubs to a 10-1 victory over the Minnesota Twins on Sunday. Alex Bregman hit a 2-run homer in the first, and Imanaga, who is 6-8, took over from there, allowing 6 hits with 1 walk before leaving after 99 pitches. The left-hander has gone a season-high 7 innings 4 times, also shutting out the Diamondbacks in a win on May 2nd. Seiya Suzuki had a 1-out double off Zebby Matthews, who is 4-7, and Bregman hit his 10th home run, a 2-out shot for the lead. Pedro Ramirez doubled and scored on Carson Kelly's single that made it 3-0 in the second. Bregman and Ian Happ walked after Michael Bush's 1-out single to load the bases in the third. Horner tripled on a ball that one-hopped past Luke Keeshall in the center field before scoring on a single by Ramirez for a 7-0 advantage. Pete Crow Armstrong doubled leading off the fourth. Suzuki walked, and Bush, who went 3 for 5, singled for an 8-0 lead. Suzuki scored when Bregman reached on a fielding error at third by Brooks Lee to Chase Matthews, who allowed 10 runs, 8 earned, and 9 hits in 3 innings. Travis Adams entered with nobody out and 2 on and got a double play grounder from Happ, but Horner singled to drive in the 10th run. Twins right-hander Joe Ryan is 6-5 with a 2.85 ERA and squares off with Guardians right-hander Tanner Bibby, who is 3-9 with a 3.9 ERA on Monday in Cleveland, while Cubs right-hander Jamison Talon is 2-5 with a 5.19 ERA and starts Monday's opener against the visiting Tigers and right-hander Jack Flaherty, who is 3-8 with a 4.48 ERA. Max Kepler hit a walk-off RBI double in the 10th inning, and the Arizona Diamondbacks rallied from a 7-run deficit to beat the St. Louis Cardinals 8-7 on Sunday. Kepler drove in an automatic runner, Jorge Barosa, to match Arizona's largest comeback victory in franchise history, set on August 29th, 2022, and a 13-7 victory over the Phillies. St. Louis had not blown a 7-run lead since July 6, 2010, in a 12-9 loss to the Rockies in Denver. After Tyler Locklear singled off Gordon Graceffo with 2 outs in the 8th, Nolan Arenado hit his 13th home run for a career hit 1,999 to make it 7-7. Juan Murillo is 3-0 and got the final 4 outs for the win. Luis Gastelum is 1-1 and took the loss in his 5th big league appearance, allowing an unearned run in 1 1/3 innings. Blaze Jordan had an RBI triple to ignite a 5-run 3rd inning off Arizona starter Eduardo Rodriguez. Alec Burleson had a 2-run single before Dre Jameson got the final out. Rodriguez gave up 7 hits and walked 2 in 2 2/3 innings to match his shortest outing this season. Jordan's 2-run single in the 5th made it 7-0. Cardinals starter Andre Palante took a shutout into the 6th inning before giving up 3 runs. He allowed 5 hits and walked 2 in 5 1/3 innings. Geraldo Perdomo was credited with his first inside-the-park home run when the ball got by Jose Fermin in left field to make it 7-5. Cardinals right-hander Kyle Leahy is 7-4 with a 3.73 ERA and starts Monday opposite Angels right-hander Jose Soriano, who is 8-6 with a 3.49 ERA in Anaheim, California. Diamondbacks lefty Mitch Bratt is 0-0 with a 6-flat ERA and will start Monday's opener against the visiting Athletics and lefty Jeffrey Springs, who is 3-9 with a 6.08 ERA. In scores from around the MLB on Sunday, the Los Angeles Dodgers beat the New York Yankees 8-2, while the New York Mets took down the Philadelphia Phillies 6-1. The Boston Red Sox beat the Tampa Bay Rays 6-1, while the Atlanta Braves took down the Texas Rangers 5-8. The Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Cleveland Guardians 7-1, while the Baltimore Orioles took down the Houston Astros 5-2. The Milwaukee Brewers beat the Miami Marlins 3-1, while the San Diego Padres routed the Kansas City Royals 19-2. The Cincinnati Reds beat the Colorado Rockies 9-6, while the Washington Nationals took down the Athletics 5-2. The Los Angeles Angels beat the Detroit Tigers 3-2, while the Seattle Mariners took down the San Francisco Giants 6-3. And in the second game of the New York Yankees and Los Angeles Dodgers doubleheader, the Yankees took that one 2-1. The Chicago Blackhawks star Connor Bedard has agreed to a $75 million 5-year contract completing a major offseason goal for the team. The rebuilding Blackhawks announced the move on Saturday. There is a full no-movement clause in the final year of the deal. Bedard, who turned 21 on Friday, had been a restricted free agent. The deal was finalized 10 days after Bedard had surgery on his left shoulder. The center is expected to miss the start of the season after he got hurt while skating with a group of NHL players in Western Canada. Chicago went 29, 39, and 14 this year, an 11-point improvement on the previous season, and still nowhere near playoff contention. The team has finished number 31 in the NHL each of the last 3 years. The Blackhawks haven't made a postseason appearance since the NHL used an expanded playoff format after the 2020 season was affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. They acquired defenseman Bowen Byram in a trade with Buffalo on June 23rd, and they also signed forward prospect Roman Kantsarov in May. Bedard has been the centerpiece of the team since he was the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 draft. He made his anticipated NHL debut that October and won the Calder Trophy as the league's Rookie of the Year. He had 23 goals and 44 assists while appearing in all 82 games in his second season. He continued his steady improvement this year, setting career highs with 30 goals and 45 assists in only 69 games. Bedard missed nearly 6 weeks of his rookie season with a broken jaw, and he was sidelined for 12 games this year after he injured his right shoulder. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Mainly clear skies today with daytime highs approaching 88. Winds out of the south 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, chance of thunderstorms, lows level off